Battlefield 6 has been out for 2 weeks at this point, and maybe you're still getting your teeth kicked in. No matter how hard you try, you keep losing matches, dying a ton, whatever the situation is, and it's just frustrating you. Well, in this video today, I want to give you some key advice that I've learned over the 20 some odd years of playing Battlefield games. Now, this is your first time on my channel. The way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos. So with that being said, let me tell you that a lot of the flow of a match comes down to map awareness. Are you spawning in a point that directly helps your team the best? On most game modes, you have 1 or 2 points that are closest to your HQ. Making sure those are held is the baseline to push for the contested points and success, which also leads to death ticket bleed. If you hold more points than the enemy, then the enemy gradually loses tickets. That loss is increased for each additional point you hold. You have 4, they have 1, that's a lot of tickets. Also, tickets are lost when you fully bleed out. So let your medics be medics. The spawn difference between dying, then fully releasing, and letting yourself naturally bleed out is 12 seconds versus 15 seconds. Bleeding out is 15, releasing is 12. So wait the 3 seconds, see if a medic is nearby, and then let them revive you. Part of that map awareness is also flexing to a class that fits the job for what's needed. Hemorrhaging tickets, switch to medic. Lots of tanks or helicopters, be an engineer. Stalled on a point, spot on recon or push with assault. You don't need to permanently switch, but flex to build momentum. Lastly, play the objective. It's all that matters in this game. And part of it has to do with slowing your pace down and staying with the team, making sure you're supporting them while you try to kill the enemy. If you follow the line of battle your team establishes, then you'll have their support passively without having to communicate with them. Now, of course, all this exists in a vacuum. You're going to have people fully release. You'll have medics that don't revive, teammates that don't help, but you can dictate the flow of combat by being the individual that helps back cap a point or spots a ton of enemies. You won't win matches as a single man army, but you can create avenues for the floodgates of your team to crash through. It won't work 100% of the time, but you should see your performance increase. At the very least, you'll get more enjoyment out of your matches. Now, if I'm allowed to quote, it is possible to commit no errors and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life. By the captain of the USS fucking Enterprise. But that's too long. Didn't watch this entire video. So if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can navigate to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters about the timeline in the description. And if you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Lastly, don't forget to check me out on Twitch, where I play Battlefield and a number of other games in the description below. But let's get started on why you keep losing matches in Battlefield 6. The first thing I want to talk about is map awareness. Depending upon the game mode in which you're playing, there's going to be certain scenarios where map awareness is really going to come key to winning. Now, in this example here, we're playing Mirrock Valley, and you can see we have our HQ on this side and the HQ over on the right side. If you're on mobile, I'm sorry, I'm using this as the cursor to dictate things, but hopefully it's easy to follow. What you need to know is, in this example, we only have 1 point close to the HQ, but that is your hard point. That is the point that your team should almost always have captured. There's going to be instances where you're pushing forward and someone's going to back cap you. That just happens. But you, as an individual, you can dictate the flow of where your team spawns and where your team attacks by putting a little bit more emphasis on keeping these points held. You can see right now, this is our point. This is our HQ. We should have A, because it is the easiest point for us to take at any given time should we not have any points. We can spawn on the HQ with plenty of support from vehicles and take this point. Now, there's going to be other examples of other maps that have 2 points next to that HQ. Those, again, are your hard points. Mirrock Valley is unique in that you would get 2 hard points right here and here, and then you've got 3 contested ones. You can make the argument that A and B are this team's, and D and E are this team's, and then that's C. C is usually always the contested point on every map. It's the one that's typically an equidistant portion from both HQs. It's in the center of the map, whatever the situation is. It's usually something like that. And C is almost always, again, that contested point. But you really need to know that when you're playing Battlefield, doesn't matter what, really, well, I mean, I guess in a rush mode, you don't have a choice. But on Conquest, and that's what I think the majority of people play, you need to make sure you're keeping these hard points. And you can see, by going and doing this, it's going to force someone to want to backspawn to HQ and help that out, or go to B and come back to A. Because yes, sure, you're not going to be able to dictate the entire, 32 people here on this team, but you can help to push people. 32. Yeah, 32. I was 64. I was like, how many people are on this damn map? But you can dictate the flow of where people are going by capturing points. People are going to see, hey, that point over there is being captured. I should go help. Or defending points. This thing is contested. It needs help. People always want to jump to the action. They're not going to want to spawn, over here if the action's over here. So having that map awareness, every time you die, take a look at the map. What's going on? What points are under attack? What points do we not have that we should have because it's in a really good spot for our team? I'm going to show you another example of this where you can see both of these points closer to the HQ. And again, those are hard points you should be capturing. Now you can see here on Iberian Offensive, this is a good example where you've got an HQ over here and D and E they're so close to the outlier of your HQ. These are hard points you should be holding. It's the same thing over here with this HQ. So even if you go to do any kind of special maneuver where you go to back cap A and B as this team, it's way easier for the other team to jump over here and take this because they can spawn at the HQ, look at the distance from here to there. I mean, yeah, they don't spawn right here, right? They spawn back here, but still, it's easy for them to jump into that location. And this is the best example of a map where you should have that map awareness because C is a heavily contested point. It's all a CQB area because it's a 2-story building. It's always hot and horny. But this gives you an idea or the sense of the flow of the map. And you should really be looking at the map as you're playing because this will help you, A, dictate how your team's going. Because yes, like I said, you cannot be a one-man army, but you can help flow people in the right way. And B, you can be the individual who goes, hey, you know what? We're losing D. I'm going to jump over here with this scant squad of 5 total people, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, this person right here, and try and cap D. You can be that person as I watch this thing fall right now, and I'm like super guilty feeling. But either way, map awareness is key to winning in this game. Right now, I can give you my next best example, and that is about death tickets. So right now you can see that we were on the precipice of a critical mission failure, right? If the other team holds all 5 points, it's a critical mission failure, right? Or a critical mission success, whatever it is. The way the game works is whoever holds the majority of points causes a death ticket bleed. These are your death tickets, these 2 numbers right here. Obviously that's how you beat the game, by having the enemy run out of their death tickets first. I'm going to go into a little bit more about how these are depleted in the next section of respawning and reviving. But at a static amount, if both factions, both teams have A and B and D and E, and no one has captured C, and no one kills anyone, death tickets remain the same. Death tickets only deplete when people die, or if there is more points held by one team than the other. That causes a death ticket bleed. So right now we are on a death ticket bleed. Well, actually, no, we were on a death ticket bleed. Okay, now we're back to a death ticket bleed. So right now people could not be dying, but we're losing points. And you'll see that the number will sometimes cascade down quickly. That usually means people died and we're on a bleed. Now that point, that death ticket bleed, is a linear increase. So for every single point that they get above the 50 percentile, so right now, 1 single point causes a death ticket bleed. If they get 1 more point, it's an even more and even more as the points happen. So this is crucial. This plays into that map awareness. If you don't understand how death tickets work, then you can't do anything to prevent you from hemorrhaging those tickets, thus causing a cascade of tickets for the opposing team. Now, how do we really control this? And it comes down to respawning and reviving. And this is probably the biggest point of the entire video. Respawning and reviving is what controls your death tickets. It was originally done in August. It was a different timer. August being the open beta for the game. There's a different timer between respawns and revives and the way death tickets work, all that. Death tickets are removed from your team when you fully release your death, meaning you get killed, you're downed, no one revives you, you bleed out, or you hold down the button to just force yourself to bleed out. That then causes a death ticket to be lost. Being downed does not cause a death ticket to be lost. You have to be fully killed. Reviving someone prevents that death ticket from being lost. Those two things are crucial to understand. But furthermore, you need to stop releasing. Let medics be medics, because you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, I got killed, what the fuck ever. Let me just get the reps in. Let me hold down the space bar if you're on PC. I don't know what it is on console. Let me get back to the respawn screen and get back in. I'm here to tell you, it takes 12 seconds to go from being shot, hold down the button to release, and then respawn. It's 12 seconds. It takes 15 seconds to fully bleed out and then respawn. So you can spend all the time in the world trying to get back into the game quicker, but you are costing your team by being selfish because you couldn't wait 3 more seconds. Just take a look at who's around you. Have that map awareness. Have the situational awareness, not of a Fig Newton, but of someone playing a Battlefield 6 who can sit there and go, cool, I got a medic within 20 meters. And you can hold down the button to prevent yourself from bleeding out. And if you're just not patient enough to even do that, just don't touch anything. Let yourself fully bleed out. And if they're within 20 meters, they'll come and get you. But also realize, again, have that awareness. Are you in the middle of like a pitch firefight and your team's on the other side of that firefight and the other team's on the other side? Maybe you just kind of hold that button and get rid of yourself, because if you stay there, it's going to force a medic to come out to you, or they're going to be tempted to come out to you, because people often play with blinders, myself included. I'm the worst medic in the world. But still, if you do that, what's going to happen is they're now going to get killed. And now the team just got 2 death tickets for 1. You have to think of those death tickets as a currency for your playing in the game. If you just simply throw your life to the wind, hold the space bar and release, and a medic was 3 meters from you, you pissed off that medic, and you possibly got the medic killed, and you lost 2 tickets just because you couldn't wait. So hold out the 3 more seconds. See to getting a medic to get you up. But again, look at the situation. Make sure that it makes sense for that to happen, and that you don't just simply wait there because a medic is 47 meters away. They're not going to get to you in time. So take a look at it and make the adjustment accordingly. But like I said, it's 12 seconds versus 15 seconds. So now we have a map awareness discussed. We talked about how death tickets work. And now you know that reviving someone prevents that death ticket loss from happening. And you further, as a player, know that if I release all the way fully to death, it's going to hurt the team more than just simply holding it out. But also, maybe you main as a support, or you play assault all the time, or you love recon, or you're just the master engineer. Take a look at what's going on the map. What is happening? Have that awareness. Are there tanks? Are there aircraft? Are we just dealing with the hard part we can't push through? Flex to being in a vehicle. Flex to playing an engineer. Flex to playing support. If we really need to push points, maybe we just can't see things. Flex to playing assault or recon. You don't need to do that for the rest of the map, but just see the points that critically need to happen, or the things that are critically needed for success. Make that switch, let it happen for a death or 2, then switch back. That's going to be the thing that's going to help the flow way more than a lot of other things that you could do on the current class you're playing. Maybe, you take a look by holding down the button to take a look at the scoreboard. Look at what everyone's playing. Hey, you know what? We have like 3 support on our entire team, and we're hemorrhaging death tickets. You can help prevent that from happening by switching to support for a little bit and trying to help bring that back online. Or, you know what? We got just tons of tanks and I'm playing assault and those tanks are not being dealt with. Pop over to engineer. You can pop tanks so quickly and you're going to shut them down. And the big thing is, when there's multiple tanks on the battlefield and you switch to engineer, if you destroy them, you break up their ability to group up. Because if you've got 3 tanks, okay, well, now they're all going to be on staggered respawns based off of when you killed them. And maybe the person that was driving them is not going to go drive them again. And it creates a little bit of a gap between that overwhelming armored power on the map. You can really help the team out by just simply making a swap for 2 or 3 minutes, putting some active damage into a tank, active healing into your team, active reconnaissance as a recon, or active aggression as an assault to really help the flow of the map. I've jammed a lot of information inside of you. I know what I just said out loud. I'm going to keep it there. Why would I edit that? And, I competed in Olympic weightlifting for 12 years. That wasn't meant to be the humble brag that it sounded like. But in the beginning, it sucked and it was terrible. And I felt like no matter what I did, I was always doing something wrong. And it's like, no matter what you do when you play a lot of video games now, you're constantly seeing videos that tell you that you're playing things wrong. And I have video titles that say that because of the hyperbole of this shitty content creator world that we all live in. But what happens is you get this kind of information overload where, okay, I watched 7 videos. They all told me 15 things to do, and I'm jumping into the match and I'm trying to do all 15 things, and I just keep shitting the bed. Rather than doing this, the self-improvement of jumping into the match and going, cool, I watched all these videos, but the one big takeaway was I need to use my med bag more as a support. That's the one thing you're going to focus on that match. Build muscle memory into one simple thing every time you play Battlefield 6. This is like a life lesson. Do this for anything in your life. You don't need to sit there and go out there and completely change everything the way that you play, but just take one thing that you're maybe doing not so great, or consciously, you know what, I'm releasing way too fast. I'm just going to hold out and let myself bleed out naturally. Sounds terrible. Then just do that. That's the one thing that you change with this play session. We're all busy people. I don't expect people to watch any of my videos and incorporate all the things that I say. I hope that they watch videos and it helps influence the way that they want to play and self-improve upon the way that they like to approach it by making just like a 5%, a 1% little change here and there. And it's so trite to hear stuff like that nowadays, right? Like how many times you heard like Dave and Goggins, burn your fucking boats, improve yourself 1%. I'm just telling you, take all the things that we've said across all the plethora of crap out there and just borrow one thing here and there. Do it a little bit at a time, and you will improve much faster because you'll be able to build muscle memory into it rather than trying to learn everything. And bringing this back full circle to the beginning of this, when I was doing Olympic lifting, I would go and fuck up the lift a bunch of times. But my coach would say, hey, listen, I told you like 6 different cues. Just focus on one today. I just want you to hit one over and over and over until you're way more comfortable with that one cue. And I would work on that from session to session, and I would get better faster. Still, I'm just god awful rubbish. But either way, that's my point. Take a little bit of information, apply it, build upon it, and then run from there. And if there's one overarching theme to all of this, it's the same thing you've heard so many times. PTFO. Play the fucking objective. You don't even need to have map awareness. You don't even need to worry about your death tickets. You can never flex your class. You don't have to worry about respawning or self-improving. If only thing you do is go for a point and try to fight on a point, maintain that point by defending it, or attacking a point by taking it. If you do just those things, nothing in this video matters. As long as you're doing that, you probably have a really high score. You probably are always in the top 10 every single match. But the more time you spend off of a point or taking time away from pushing towards a point, the more that you're taking away from your team. You are a resource, either as the player, as a vehicle driver, as an aircraft fliesman, pilot? Who said that? But my point is, you need to realize that you can actually directly contribute to winning the game by being someone that always plays towards what wins the game, which are points and death tickets. So always jump to those things and always try to put yourself in a position where you can actively contribute towards it, either defensively or aggressively, offensively, whatever. And you will win more matches than you will lose, because that's the reason you're here, right? You've been losing too many matches. And yes, you, like I said before, you're not a one-man army. This isn't Call of Duty. You can't get the nuke call in to wipe the map because you just went on a 40 kill streak. You can't do that here. But you can do little things that create the flow for people. Recon drones, capping certain points. People will always go to where there is aggression. And that aggression can be capping points. That aggression can be spotting a bunch of things so that people know, oh, there's like 5 enemies over there. I want to go kill all those 5 enemies because I'm the strongest single Battlefield 6 player ever of all time. Like, we all get in that mindset when those blinders, when we see those things. I do it all the time. And you can help dictate the flow of a map with the simple method of playing the objective. My last point here is about pacing your play. So I'm jumped on to Assault here. This is a breakthrough match. And if you play like this, like Call of Duty, bro, just chucking and rucking, I'm probably going to get 2 kills out of this. Maybe. Yeah, okay. So I almost got 2 kills there, right? If you play like that, this is what's going to happen. You have to think of how you play as what does the net death ticket result in. In this case, I'm defending, so it's not as big of a deal. But a lot of people, a lot of times you're either going to be attacking, you're going to be playing conquest, something like that. So what was my net death ticket there? It was 0. I killed one person, I died. Nothing ultimately happened for the team. And in that case, you know, I was fighting in a point. I was right here. That's where their team was coming from. Pace your play as in go, okay, before I even spawn, what needs help? We got a lot of people coming through here. We got people flanking around. This dude is alone over here. Let's spawn a day and go help my team. And yeah, sprint up to where like the fun is. Like, don't hang back. It's just going to be, don't like walk like this the entire time. It's just going to frustrate the crap out of you. And we already know, like, okay, he's shooting over there. I can kind of get a position. And I already see that he's down. Okay, well, cool. The medic got him up. Just, like, pace yourself. There's no reason to, like, sprint into all this. I don't even know if there's anyone over there. I thought I saw someone throw something. Hey, went in the water. Cool, cool, cool. I got shot at by a sniper, and that was cool for all of us. And, you know, like, kind of peek, take a look around things. Don't put yourself all the way up in harm's way. I've got an assault rifle, so I'm great at a medium range. I see the majority of their team is over there. Like, you don't have to always put yourself immediately in harm's way to win in this game. You can just take your time, pace yourself. And I've already lived way longer. I mean, yeah, I haven't done anything, but I'm also kind of talking at the same time. But this is kind of what I mean, right? Like, if I sit there and just always spend time sprinting at the enemy, I'm just going to spend time running into harm's way faster and faster and faster and dying more and more. Yeah, my KD might level out at a 1-to-1 or something like that, but I missed this guy every single shot in the middle of this great video that I did. Wow, what a cool YouTuber. Watch my video and learn how to miss. Holy shit. But my point remains here is like, I'm just taking my time. I'm pacing myself. I'm seeing there's now people on the left over here. There's people on the right. I can flex around to these positions and help the team way more actively by just slowing down my rate of play. It doesn't need to be the Call of Duty master at all times. I mean, that's coming out in November. And you know what? I always end up playing Call of Duty every year, no matter what I do. So I'm not trying to shit on that game. But that's my point. Like, stay with your team, stay with the flow of where everyone is, because this not only helps you like kill people, but see this guy right there, why push out? Why try to win that fight? You know, like, I can stay with my team and try to get help either through being resurrected or through med bags, looking at the mini maps and saying, okay, there's a whole bunch of people over here. Am I outgunned in this scenario? Do I stick around? Do I like try to get over here to help out with the flank? That's kind of like, cool, that guy's shut down from being able to flank in. And I need to fix this gun. I put nothing on it. I think this is one of like the, oh. But again, this kind of helps make my point. Like, I didn't get a bunch of kills here, you know? What, we got one more extra kill. Again, talking majority of time through this, but this is my point. Slow your pace down. Help your team out by staying with your team. Like, cool, now I can actually get my gadgets back online. I don't have to use them once and be done. And, you know, also, if you can get it right, peek up and around. Oh. Of course. But I'm sitting there trying to get like a win out of this to make it look even more impressive. But I think my point remains here. You can see that I was alive a lot longer. I'm not just running headlong into combat. And I have the ability to be healed by my team, have my gadgets replenished by my team, and also contribute actively towards defending points with my team. Slow your pace down. But at that, it brings our video here to a close. And listen, I'm not the best Battlefield 6 player. You saw some of that gameplay. It was hard to watch. It was rubbish. But I've played Battlefield for a long time. I played Battlefield 2. I played Battlefield 1942 back when it came out in 1942. But seriously, I've played the game for a long time. And I used to always run into things. I always had this mentality in my head that if I run into stuff constantly, I can help create momentum. And that wasn't working. I was just kind of throwing myself onto the sword all the time, getting 2-3 kills and dying, 1-2 kills and dying, something like that, 0 kills and dying. I wasn't actively contributing. And I learned to break up my play style, check my corners, stuff like that, stay with my team, look at where my map is. How do I help the team out directly? What does the team need in those instances where we are losing? And it changed the way that I played Battlefield. And we haven't had a Battlefield like this in a considerable amount of time, right? 2042 was a wild experience. And a lot of us, the last time we played Battlefield was Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 3 or 4, you know, like it's been a considerable amount of time. And I think that muscle memory of playing the way a Battlefield game should be played has been wiped clean because we've all just jumped into Call of Duties or Apex Legends or Battlezone? What? Warzone, any other of the more fast-paced shooters. Battlefield 6 is a lot faster than it has been in the past, but it's still the core tenets of taking your time, applying your playstyle to the team are still the core tenets of the game. Applying that is huge. And you will be successful in Battlefield if you just learn those lessons. It's not about your KD, it's about your score. In that instance, you know, I was 2-1. Clearly, I mean, I wasn't awesome right there. And I had 925 points. The match had also just started, but that's great. You know, I got 1,000 points. We're fresh into the match. At least I'm doing something actively for the team. If I had swapped over to support, it would have been a way better situation where I could have just run around and thrown med bags and got people up, or engineer would have been able to blow things up, or recon would have spotted things. But my point remains here is just worry about your score. How are you helping the team out? Because your score is always going to be objective oriented. You don't get points by just hanging back majority of the time, right? Spotting, you do get points. You do that by hanging back, but you're rarely going to have a good performance in the game on a scoreboard basis by just hanging out somewhere that's not going to directly help the team. So know those things and have fun. You know, like I've given you all this information to do stuff in, and like I said in the self-improvement section, you have to play how you want. You have to find a method of all this madness that makes sense for your play style. Maybe you like solely being back in the back line sniping, but there's plenty of ways to get a lot of objective oriented points through sniping now. And that's the first time in a long time you can be that. Maybe you do like running and gunning, and it just makes more sense for you to play like that. You can still be someone who gets tons of points by running and gunning using a lot of different things. Remember the SMG, the only thing that the SMG proficiency of the engineer, the only thing it gives you for SMGs is better hipfire accuracy. Every single class can use them pretty much exactly the same for the most part. You just don't get that hipfire accuracy. So you can have a lot of fun running and gunning on an SMG on assault or support and getting people up or doing whatever it is. So find a way that works for you. But hopefully this now gives you a better idea on how to win more matches. Yes, you cannot be the sole person that wins the match, but you also can be the one that creates momentum that gets you to victory. And let it be known in the comment section below if you have plenty of other tips that would help people win matches that aren't just simply like, use this gun, it's a broken gun, and play like this. It's really about learning the methodology of this game to get you success. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.